How's it going, speedsters? Welcome to a brand new Flash trailer breakdown. So I had to do another one this week because if you couldn't tell already with the way things ended off last episode, things are looking very, very spicy for the next episode of The Flash, titled The Exorcism of Nash Wells. So as usual, guys, I'm just going to show the promo or the trailer, and then we're going to dig deep into breaking it all down.
I know losing your speed is scary.
Don't let him get to you.
Too late. I'll use a booster.
Speed steroids? We have no idea what it could do to you.
You're gonna be too weak to stop me. And the fun's really gonna begin.
So as you can probably tell, there is a lot of things to speculate about in this trailer, just because there's a whole bunch of things kind of up in the air that you may or may not have heard me talk about in my review, which I will link in the cards above. Definitely go check that out. But also, as exciting as this is, and as much as we love this character, I also go over a bit of apprehension in terms of what is going on in this plot. Nash is experiencing this weird kind of ghosty situation, and Eobard Thawne has taken over Nash Wells, and the whole confusing thing about that is, why is this? Is this a result of crisis? If so, I keep asking myself why, because as all of you should probably already know, the Reverse Flash was able-bodied, he ran off in Central City, and we haven't seen him since. Now, all of a sudden, he is this kind of, possessive force who seems to have taken over Nash in this trailer, which, is very exciting, but yet again, given the title of this episode being The Exorcism of Nash Wells, I'm just thinking that they just might expel him somehow, and that will be that. I hope whatever happens, ultimately, bottom line here, to kind of finally segue into what we actually see in the trailer, that they do give us a decent explanation as to why the Reverse Flash isn't this kind of physical being. But that is another thing that's up in the air, because you could argue that he is. It's just that I really wouldn't be surprised, given that title of the episode, that they somehow enter a kind of mindscape, if you will, of Nash Wells' mind, and that is how they try and expel, or should I say exorcise, Eobard Thawne from Nash. Now, at that very beginning point in the trailer, of course, they're talking about, understand losing your speed is very scary, and of course it is, and this isn't at the same time brand new to the Flash at all. Barry losing his speed, especially this many years in, he really wants to, manage to get it back, and that idea sprung at the end of last episode to create this artificial speed force. I'd be surprised if they actually do kind of master that already in this episode. That's why I think there's that whole reference to a speed drug, which is definitely a very, very interesting prospect, because, Caitlin doesn't seem at all impressed in this trailer, and as we know from kind of speed enhancing drugs in the past, it definitely isn't kind of a safe thing to do and can kind of alter your behavior and personality, and it seems that Barry is fairly desperate to somehow not run out of his current speed, because that's another thing we all need to bear in mind as well, is that in the last episode, despite the actual speed force being gone and dead, there is some residual energy left that may last some time. But also, as taunted by Thawne in this trailer that we see for the next episode, Barry is kind of weak, and he might not be able to hold up against a Reverse Flash. But all I can think about this time is like, what is this real world? Like, is Eobard Thawne actually using his own negative speed force here, the way we saw him at the end of season 5, or is he talking about when he comes back from this kind of weird, silly ghost form that he's in? I just want that explanation. I don't want Eobard Thawne to be a ghost, and if it is because of Crisis, I just want to know why that happened. Just because even though some of you, or all of us may find this really cool, with obviously Tom Cavanaugh being Wells-Eobard once again, I think it would have been cooler if he was an actual physical kind of opponent. And, maybe, as I said in my review as well, I'm speaking too prematurely here, because that may very well happen. It's just, I've got a strong feeling that this may just be about preventing Wells from actually coming back and doing all those things that he taunted to Barry and Cisco at the end of last episode. Now, one of the most fascinating things that I found about this trailer when watching it for the first couple of times is that we do see Eobard in the suit. So is this Nash, considering that, as the general conception is right now, that this is kind of some possession, or at least, obviously last episode that was Nash Wells with Eobard having taken over. So is this somehow now with him in his suit? If so, that's kind of confusing because where has the suit been this whole time? Another thing is, you know, we know Eobard escaped, as I've mentioned several times already, but like, does that mean that this is that Eobard? I think that's quite unlikely, which is why this is still likely Nash Wells in the suit, probably in a Mindscapey-esque kind of form. One of the reasons I kind of hope that this is an actual physical Nash Wells in the Reverse Flash suit, because, you know, I already mentioned how I find that a lot more interesting than just a kind of mind battle, is because we do see Barry kind of, you know, push Eobard up to the side of the wall here, and that's not really surprising at all because we all know Eobard Thawne loves getting inside Barry's head, and you could only imagine if he's kind of taunting him about losing his speed and several other things under the sun, Barry's gonna lose his temper, get frustrated, and maybe, just maybe, this is a way that Nash could escape. But yet again, you know, Nash being possessed by Eobard here, he doesn't have any speed, and would he really escape Star Labs? Would he best Barry here temporarily? And you have to assume that Barry still has, you know, quite a bit of Speed Force energy left, so I doubt he would have let Thawne get past him, or should I say Nash, who isn't even powered with any negative Speed Force. So, you know, that's the whole thing about this, you know, even this trailer breakdown. There's a whole bunch of speculation because we just don't quite know what is going on and how things will resolve with Nash Wells and kind of conclude with Eobard Thawne for now. And as to the whole speed steroid thing, just revisiting that for a quick second, there is meant to be a metahuman of the week yet again in this episode. It's just really interesting to consider that, considering there's a big story here with Eobard Thawne. Maybe they won't be so touched upon just like in episode 14. We had obviously Turtle 2.0. Whilst she was in it, she kind of wasn't at the same time with everything else going on with Kid Flash. So maybe yet again when we see Barry in the Flash suit here wanting to take this speed drug or speed steroids, as Caitlin seems very disappointed by, that is more as to why he wants to take that speed steroid. But another thing is, in this trailer we see him wearing this kind of watch. It's got this kind of weird kind of screensavery kind of effect, and I'm thinking that this could be monitoring his remaining speed. I think that would be pretty cool if that is what it shows. As to what else it could be is anyone's guess. I mean, obviously with the amount of times they show it in this trailer, it's of some significance. You can see it here when he's pinning Nash Wells up against the wall, but ultimately that, you know, that's my best guess, is that it's kind of showing that Barry's still got some speed left and that he just needs to keep an eye on it. Now at this point in the trailer we see that this Star Labs monitor is getting struck by some lightning. Now it would be pretty interesting if, you know, as Caitlin teased her in the trailer with, you know, taking speed steroids, that Barry, as soon as he does, it might potentially send his powers more on the fritz and send out this bolt flying in Star Labs, and just highlighting Caitlin's concerns even more with how, you know, concerning taking speed steroids is, and just, you know, how you never know how it could affect you. So yeah, I'm super intrigued to see, you know, Barry on speed steroids and kind of a desperate man to regain his speed. But there's also just a lot of tension in this trailer. Obviously Barry and Eobard, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of history. There's a lot of things you could probably trigger him with. But Grant Gustin really has got his dramatic Waterworks face on. So as Nash, or should I say Eobard, says right at the end there, and this is where the fun is really going to begin, or something like that, you know, I completely agree, because I can't wait for some more kind of drama between these two, whether, you know, even if it is a Mindscapey kind of Exorcism of Nash Wells or not, because, you know, with the synopsis saying Cisco is going to help out Nash, it kind of makes you think that Cisco's going to come up with a way to liberate Nash of all of these other Wells' consciences. But ultimately, guys, that is what the gist of the trailer is. I have to admit, and I don't mean to sound negative, but I kind of echoed this in my review, that I'm fairly apprehensive of this episode just because I didn't want the Reverse Flash to be spent this way, just because I can kind of sense intuitively that, considering we've got blatantly Mirror Master as this kind of setup as the second half main kind of villain, I doubt it's going to be Eobard in this kind of way, that this, you know, episode will resolve with Eobard one way or another being exercised per the title. But I still hope that that means he won't be gone, you know, whether like his freaking ghost inhabits somebody else, who knows. I still want that stupid answer as to why he's even, you know, not his physical self as we saw him in season 5. It's kind of as I mentioned in that video from a few weeks ago, he's going to be spent in just like this one episode, and as cool as that will be, I kind of wanted him to come back from his physical appearance of when he ran away and Barry let him go at the end of season 5 as something something really major up his sleeve. But it seems that for some reason or another, with hopefully next episode giving us those clear answers, he's gone poof into possessive mode, and Nash is his victim, and I guess they're gonna kind of succeed at the end of the day. Ultimately, I just think it's a little bit of a disappointment to me if they do decide to go with that Crisis on Infinite Earths for one reason or another, blended all of the Welleses together through Eobard for some reason, sharing, you know, that DNA with Wells, you know, because he made that merge, thus included him, and that's why, you know, compared to the version we saw at the end of season 5, who said, see you in our next crisis, he's now in this mode. And, you know, as I do get it, crisis is a big thing, and it can leave any kind of repercussions. It's just this one, I think, is not a one-up, it's like a one-down from what they could have done, but, you know, at the same time, the Reverse Flash being out there, like he was at the end of Season 5, quite literally just able to do anything and come into, you know, our main characters, the Flash's life at any time. You could argue he could be the main villain, and why isn't he the main villain? So I guess they had to do something like this to make it so he's inhabited Nash Wells. He's a Eobard again, but just without the Speed Force. But obviously, as he said to Barry in this trailer, you're going to be too weak to kind of beat me. Maybe he planned to get his negative Speed Force back through Nash Wells' body, and then, you know, kind of become the villain that he is always known as, the Reverse Flash. But obviously, well, I don't know this for sure, but, you know, I'd be surprised if he actually managed to do that. I think Team Flash are going to somehow resolve the situation, but hopefully it just means that, you know, Eobard still gets away somehow. But let me know what you think of all of this, guys. I would love to know your response to my kind of criticism or just kind of apprehension of just this storyline in general. I'm gonna try and enjoy it no matter what. I will, definitely. It's just I had a different kind of preference. But other than that, guys, like this video if you did enjoy it. Let me know what you're excited about from next week's episode. Make sure you don't miss out on my review as well. That will be on the end card of this video. Join my Discord server if you want to talk about more Flash with me. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you speedsters in the next video. Goodbye.